Welcome to the first of 5 modules designed to lead you through an exploration of project-based learning. These training modules were created to support our teachers in their understanding and implementation of high-quality project-based learning based on the gold standard PBL model by PBL Works, which was previously known as the Buck Institute. Project-based learning is not a new instructional approach. In fact, many of you are already doing it and have been doing so for years. However, PBL now has a new respectability and an ever-growing number of proponents. You hear a lot about it these days. So PBL Works has played a central role in project-based learning's growth and has worked for over 20 years to identify and shape PBL best practices. So for these reasons and more, the gold standard PBL model will be our adopted model for our trainings.
This brings us to what will PBL look like at our elementaries in USD 345. We began PBL training last year via district cohort group and also began looking at ways to incorporate project-based learning into our curricular work, specifically in the content area of history, government, and social studies. We began constructing possible PBL units in district grade level teams. I did set the expectation for a minimum of 2 PBL units to be implemented this school year. However, this can be slightly scaled back while we complete the training modules and become increasingly familiar with our new resource. There are many great opportunities with PBL occurring already this school year across the district. We will have the chance to discuss and highlight units and implementation around the district later this morning. My hope is that now we are implementing our new resource, topics for PBL units will continue to emerge and we can build a bank of possibilities for you and your students by grade level and specific content areas. I also want to point out that this continued work around PBL supports the KSDE Kansans Can vision, aligns with our district strategic plan goal to provide personalized instruction for all students, and is in a great way to meet the requirements of implementing KSDE's HGSS standards. I also want to share that the KAP, or Kansas Assessment Program's test for HGSS, is much different than we are used to. It will be completed via a PBL unit and analyzed by a rubric. We are actually piloting the assessment in 6th grade this year, and I am anticipating other grade levels being assessed in this way in future years. Our work now will help to prepare us for the future. I value the work by staff already trying PBL in their classrooms and look forward to continuing to support building opportunities for professional learning in this area for everyone. I know that this is a process and love that we are doing the work together. Lastly, I want to remind everyone that you can always reach out to me if you ever have any questions about our curriculum work. You will also have the opportunity to share feedback about PBL and HGSS implementation this year via a survey that you will participate in later this morning. Now, let's continue with our elementary PBL Module 1 led by Megan.
Our objectives for today's module are for you to work as a PLC to identify how a project-based instructional approach can improve the learning of our students and to build foundational knowledge in the essential project design elements of gold standard PBL. Please follow the directions included in this video for you to engage in this training with your colleagues. To support you in this work, you have all been added to an elementary PBL course in Schoology. Please go to your Schoology courses menu at this time and locate the course. If you don't have access to the course, please let your grade level coach know and they will add you. Once you are in the course, you can enter the Module 1 folder. This contains resources for you regarding today's work, including this video, which you can refer back to as needed. In addition to the Schoology course, you've also been provided a PBL 101 workbook to help guide you through the different activities that we will be doing during these trainings. Please be sure to bring your workbook with you to all of the upcoming modules. This resource contains all the activities that teachers do when they do the actual PBL 101 training with PBL Works, and we hope that it's a meaningful resource to you as you do this work with us. For our first activity, let's take some time to think about some reasons why for PBL. Please turn to page 13 in your workbook. On this page, I'd like you to describe your ideal graduate from the K-12 system. As Dr. Noble likes to say, we all teach seniors, and as elementary teachers, you are building the foundational skills for our future seniors. So, I'd like you to first think quietly to yourself, what does your ideal graduate know or believe about themselves as learners or about learning in general? What are things they can do? What knowledge, skills, or dispositions do they have? And what does your ideal graduate care about? You'll have 1 minute to jot down your thoughts, starting now. Okay, now that you've had time to brainstorm some of your ideal graduate characteristics, I'd like you to take 30 seconds just to debrief with a partner what it is that you put down on page 13. This slide will show for 30 seconds, and when it stops showing, it'll be time to move on. What is generally found when doing this ideal graduate activity is that lists made by teachers are remarkably similar. So up on the screen, you'll see a couple of the common attributes that are listed for an ideal graduate, and these might be very similar to the words that you wrote down or discussed with your partner. So we have the ideal graduates are generally problem solvers, responsible, work well with others, can work independently, are critical thinkers, are confident, they manage their time and work effectively, and can communicate well with others. What's beautiful about project-based learning is that it provides opportunities for students to build these qualities, as well as more deeply learn traditional academic content and understand how it applies to the real world. While project-based learning is not a cure-all for everything in education, it is a powerful teaching method that helps to motivate students, prepare them for college and career and citizenship, and help them meet standards, demonstrate in-depth knowledge, and thinking skills. Now that we have some of those ideal graduate characteristics in mind, let's talk a bit more about our why. So PBL Works believes that project-based learning is vital for preparing young people for the modern world and want to help ensure that project-based learning becomes a regular practice in more classrooms. So they've developed their process with real student, teacher, and administrator stakeholders in mind, and they provide an abundance of free, easily accessible materials to make project-based learning a reality. Essentially, their vision for project-based learning aligns with our own Seaman vision. In our district, we have set the stage for project-based learning integration through the development of our strategic plan. Strategic Goal 1 states that we want to ensure teaching and learning programs are delivered with a focus on continuous improvement of student achievement through student engagement, rigorous and relevant content, and personalized learning. Project-based learning is a key factor in helping to meet each of those qualifications. Additionally, the Kansas State Department of Education Kansans Can project has the 4 principles that you see here. In order for Kansas to achieve its vision of leading the world in the success of each student, we have to think differently about how we're educating students. So not only does project-based learning meet the needs of personalized learning by allowing for student choice in their learning, it is a specific pedagogical approach that allows for students to experience real-world application. Some of you might be wondering, what does the research say about PBL? Is there hard data to show that it works? Well, rest assured that there are plenty of research studies showing that PBL can have more impact on student learning than traditional teaching approaches. In fact, University of Melbourne professor John Hattie, who has been working to understand what makes a difference in student learning, has research that backs up PBL. In fact, in his research, he has developed conclusions about the importance of students developing the tools necessary to take charge of their own learning, and teachers adjusting and changing instruction and projects according to the accomplishments and challenges of their students. And all of this aligns well with PBL Works' vision of gold standard project-based teaching. So what is project-based learning? Let's do a quick 30-second think and give yourself a chance to consider some key terms that you would use to describe project-based learning. You can jot them down if you would like, or just keep them in your head. Here is PBL Works' official definition. Project-based learning is a teaching method in which students gain knowledge and skills by working for an extended period of time to investigate and respond to an authentic, engaging, and complex question, problem, or challenge. My guess is that many of the terms you wrote down are closely related to some terms you see included in this definition. So how are we going to engage in the work of building capacity for teaching project-based learning as defined by PBL Works? As mentioned earlier, this is the first of 5 modules you will be completing. Today's module has been designed to build your familiarity with the gold standard PBL model. Over the course of the year, you will complete 4 additional modules. The next, on January 3rd, where you will explore how to design driving questions. Module 3, on February 17th, will get you storyboarding a project. Modules 4 and 5 will then be where you will continue to create a project roadmap while exploring how sustained inquiry, authenticity, and productive struggle all play a role in PBL. Our hope is that after April, you will have, as a PLC, begun to build a resource bank of potential PBL units that will support your grade level content. So our driving question for these modules is, how can we plan an effective project for all of our students? Which means that by the April 24th date, we want you to have 1 project designed for the following year. However, consider that you are doing this work within your PLCs. If you divide and conquer or work together to plan projects in small groups, you could come away with multiple PBL units within your grade level or content area that could be utilized. Now it is time to really dive into the gold standard PBL design elements. PBL Works created this comprehensive, research-based gold standard model for PBL to help teachers, schools, and organizations to measure, calibrate, and improve their practice. So this term is used in many industries and fields to indicate the highest quality process or product. Their conception of gold standard PBL is based on the student learning goals, which are at the center of the process, and the essential project design elements, which are shown in the shaded sections of this diagram. So instead of explaining through this module video about each component, we want you to engage in a learning activity where you become the expert on one of these elements in order to teach others in your PLC. Let's discuss how this essential elements activity is going to work. Your task is to use the Essential Project Design Elements article on pages 16 through 19 and the Product Design Rubric documents on pages 85 and 86 in your workbook to learn about an assigned PBL element and create a poster to teach that element to your PLC. In an effort to model one PBL element, student voice and choice, you get the choice in how you make your poster. You can choose to hand draw it using the blank pages found on page 104 of your workbook, or you can make a digital version using the Project Design poster link on Schoology. If you click that link, it'll ask you to make a copy of the document, and then you'll be in a blank Google Doc in which you can make your poster. You will only have 10 minutes to complete this task, so your poster will be very simple. We're really looking for 3 things. 1, a definition of your assigned element or topic. 2, a favorite quote from the section that you read. And 3rd, some sort of drawing or image to be used as a visual aid. And we will have this table up on the screen while you work, so you do not need to write these things down. So to complete the task, next you're going to count off by 8 in your PLC. You will then use the topic chart, which is coming up next, in order to determine your topic. 3rd, you'll read your assigned section in that Project Design Elements article and find your section on the rubric in your workbook. And then you'll make your poster either by hand or the digital version, whichever choice you prefer. Please pause the video now to number off from 1 to 8. Based on how you numbered off, these are the topics you'll be learning more about. So if I am a 2, I am only going to read the challenging problem or question section of the article and only read the challenging problem or question components in the rubric. At this time, please pause the video, have someone set a timer for 10 minutes, and have everyone read their assigned topic and complete their poster. Now that you have had an opportunity to complete your poster for your assigned topic, it is time to share your poster with the group. Follow along for instructions on how to engage in the carousel presentations protocol. This is similar to a jigsaw activity and is a protocol that can be adapted to a PBL activity in your classroom for students to be able to share work with each other. You will need to designate a timekeeper in each PLC for this activity. Similar numbers will stand and present together, so for example, all 1s will stand and present at the same time. The 1s are considered the experts, and so they will present on their topic, sharing their definition, their visual clue, and their quote that they took from the article. They have 1 minute to do this. Audience members, while the experts are presenting, you will be recording notes for that designated element in your workbook on pages 20 and 21. Following the presentation, the audience will then have 1 minute to discuss as a group, ask any questions, or make connections that they have made to the topic. Time limits must be followed, so make sure your designated timekeeper will hold you to them. You will then repeat until all experts have presented and all topics have been completed in your note-taking document. Once you have your timekeeper identified and ready, 1s, you may begin with your presentations. You have reached the end of Module 1 and hopefully now have a deeper understanding as to what is project-based learning and the essential project design elements we will be exploring over the course of the year in our trainings. As a final activity, please complete the discussion board activity that you see at the bottom of the Module 1 course on Schoology. Thank you for engaging in this work and for all that you do for our CMN students.